The march that we talked about broke up in violence, and it was really awful. So Martin knew he had to come back to Memphis and have a peaceful march, or he could not do the Washington Poor People's Campaign. So in preparation for coming back, he brought all the staff, mainly of SCLC, into Memphis to workshop Memphis on how to have a peaceful march. Police just waded into the crowd. They didn't try to isolate. There were a group of young guys who, not even connected to the march. And it only takes one or two to break the one out, then others will join. And so he knew he had to come back. April 3rd, he came back into Memphis in preparation for the march. The speech we know as the mountaintop speech almost didn't happen. There were thunderstorms, clouds, rain, and he thought there wouldn't be many people at Mason Temple, so he sent several of us over. He said, you guys go over and have the meeting. I'll go back to the motel and work on the Poor People's Campaign. When we got to the church, it was nearly full. People came in out of the rain and out of the weather. Abernathy saw the crowd. Jessie Jackson walked in, I walked in, Andy Young walked in, and the people started clapping. Abernathy said, these people ain't clapping for us, they think Martin coming in behind. So he went to the phone and called Martin and said, man, you should get over here. If Abernathy had not made that call, there would have been no speech called the mountaintop speech. And in that speech, he talked about death a great deal. He warned us that it was close. He didn't know when, but he knew. He was prepared for it. Talked about the plane that he came over in from Atlanta had been under guard by the police all night because there were so many death threats. And then when he started talking about going to the mountaintop, we knew what that meant. And he said, I may not get there with you, but you will get to the promised land. And I'm so certain he knew he wouldn't get there, but he wouldn't tell us. And so he softened it for us and say, I may not, knowing full well that he would not. When he got through with that speech, we were in tears. We didn't know what was going on. It was something we hadn't heard before. We heard the speech before, but not like that. He said, tonight I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the coming of the glory of the Lord. And we had to help him to his seat. The next day he was all right. It is as if he preached himself through the fear of death. He got it out of it. Just got it out of it. And he was lighthearted right in that room 306. He was very lighthearted. He and Andy Young got in a pillow fight. He had gotten that weight off of him. A pillow fight. Andy, you can't be going off all day and not letting me know where you are. I told him dinner was at 5 o'clock. So I came over here at 5. He said, oh no, I called the house. Dinner's not till 6 and I'm in no hurry. He was never in a hurry. That's why I told him 5. I told him 5. But he said, have a seat. So I took a seat. And that gave me the wonderful privilege to spend the last hour of his life on earth. 3 preachers in a room. Abernathy, King, and Childs. And of the 3, I am the only one left. And so the press and everybody would say, well, what did you 3 preachers talk about? What did you do? I said, we talk preacher talk. They say, what's preacher talk? I said, whatever preachers talk about is preacher talk. And it was that kind of feeling that was in the room. Just get ready for the program, go to dinner, and then go to the program. I said, guys, come on, hurry up, let's go. We were telling jokes. Martin loved the joke. He said, if a preacher can't tell a joke, he can't preach either, so don't bother with it. And all of this is in that movie. You can get a copy of it. It would be good for you to watch it. Anyway, we stepped on the balcony, and people were in the courtyard, and he was waving at people and saying hello. He saw Jessie Jackson. He said, "Jessie, you're not dressed for dinner." Jessie said, "I don't need a shirt and tie. I got an appetite. That's all I need." And it was that kind of lightheartedness. I said, "Guys, we've got to go. We have a rally tonight." I turned. He stood here and I stood here. I turned to go down the stairs. I got about 5 steps, and the shot rang out. Kapow! I looked back. He had been knocked from the railing of the balcony onto the floor. There was a tremendous hole in the right side of his face. There was a big wound under his shirt. We couldn't see. The bullet went down into his chest. Blood was everywhere. I ran in the room to use the phone to call an ambulance.